Hello, my love. Welcome to another episode of Blisstopia podcast. I am your host, Mercedes Castellani, and today we're going to talk about how I manifested my dream job. And it's not what you think. I didn't look for a job. I actually created my own job. So I want to share with you my story. So how I was feeling where I didn't have my dream job, when I was working for someone else, when I didn't feel in alignment with my values, with my purpose, with the impact that I wanted to have in the world. Then I'm going to share with you how I started defining what my dream job could look like, which were my needs, which were my motivations, what is it that I actually wanted, and then how I actually manifested this job, this business that I have right now. So let's go a little bit back in time. So in 2022, I was living in Madrid. I was working in the wine industry as a marketing director. And I think in 2021, 2022, I started feeling like this wasn't my place anymore. I had moved to Madrid for this new job. I was super, super excited about it. COVID hit when I moved to Madrid in 2020. So that was kind of a weird period. I think for many of us, COVID was that period of a lot of introspection. For me, I was living alone at that time. And in Madrid, we had one of the hardest lockdowns because we went into our homes for 3 months and we couldn't leave our houses only to go to the pharmacy of the supermarket. So we couldn't go for a walk. We couldn't do many of the things that some people in other countries could. So in Spain, it was very, very strict for 3 months. So that meant that for me living alone, those 3 months were kind of a retreat. And I meditated every day. I did yoga or other kinds of sports every day just to keep myself, sane, normal. But it was a period of a lot of introspection. And I think 2020, I was still motivated by my job. But then in 2021, I started feeling like this is maybe not it. This is maybe not the thing that I want to do. And 2022 is continued, at least in the very beginning of 2022. And I had this feeling, what I specifically felt was there's something off. This is not it. I worked so hard to be there. I worked so hard to become a marketing director. I thought this was my dream. I'm doing the things that I've always wanted to do, but it's just not what I want. And I think what happened was that along the years, I actually changed. I started doing a lot of yoga and meditation, and my consciousness shifted. I became a lot more focused in the we, a lot more focused in us as the human race. And I stopped being so focused on the I. And I think when I became a marketing director and when I chose this marketing career, I was always thinking about I. How am I going to have more fun? How am I going to make more money? What is more interesting for me? What's better for me? But as I changed my consciousness from the me to the we, being in marketing didn't make sense anymore because I felt like I had so many things I wanted to say and so much wisdom that I wanted to share with the world. And I just couldn't in that role. And I had the best boss I ever had in that job. I had amazing colleagues. I had a great team working with me in the marketing team. I had great brands that I was working for. But I just felt like there was something missing. There was something missing. And I think what was missing was many things, but mainly the impact. Why am I doing all of this? So I started feeling demotivated because I didn't see what was the point. Why was I doing all of that? Why all of those hours? Why all of that energy? Why all of those emotions? Why all of that stress? Why? What for? And I couldn't find why that made sense for me. So I felt like something was off. I couldn't really describe what it was. I couldn't put into words that it was impact, but I think deep down it was impact. Why am I doing all of this? But I could just feel that this wasn't it, that this wasn't the job where I was going to stay forever. I was very, very lost. I started asking deep questions. What do I want to do? What's important for me? And then when I started defining, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to create. And there were some things when I defined it was what my dream job would be. There were some things that stood out and that became very important for me. First, it was working from home. I never wanted to be in an office anymore. In this last corporate job, I was actually working from home in spite of COVID. Like my job was working from home in Madrid. And I actually realized I love this. I love, not having to commute, not having to suffer in a subway. Instead of commuting, you can sleep more. I just loved that. So working from home was important for me. Something that became very important for me was time freedom. I want to be able to design my agenda. I want to be able to decide what I want to do on a certain day. I don't want people telling me what to do. I want to be the master of my own time and my own agenda, which is something that I didn't have, of course, when I was a marketing director. Something that also became super important for me was location freedom. And my dream when I was still in that corporate job was to say, I want to be able to be wherever I want to be, whenever I want to be. So if I feel like working from the place where I live, amazing. Like right now I live in Paris. If I feel like working from Paris, amazing. If I want to work from Argentina, where my family lives, amazing. If I want to work from Greece, amazing. If I want to work from Bali, amazing. I just want to be able to decide where I want to be. So I decide on my time and I decide where I want to be, where I want my body to physically be. So that became also very important for me. And that was the reason that led me to designing an online business, because I realized if I have an online business, I can be wherever. I can deliver the service that I want to deliver to my clients, but I can be wherever I want. So that became extremely important for me, that level of freedom, time and location freedom. Something that was also super important in this definition was impact. I want to make sure that the thing that I do actually changes lives, actually has an impact. And I think we can feel the impact and appreciate the impact at different levels. Some people appreciate a global impact, impacting millions of people, and that's amazing. Some people appreciate making a change in their country, whether that's their home country or the country where they live, and they feel very, very strongly about the national tie that their impact has. For me, the impact is one person, because I believe that one person is the world. And Buddha said this. I don't know the exact words, but what he was saying is, if we can help one person find enlightenment, and then another person find enlightenment, and then another person find enlightenment, at the end, we are actually changing the world. And that's the way I see it. And that's why I love working on a one-to-one basis. Many coaches work with group programs, and I love working on a one-on-one basis. First of all, because you're listening just to that one person. Your whole energy, your whole love, your whole wisdom is there just for that one person. And you're literally listening to the issues and the things that that one person is going through. So it's not one size fits all, but it's one person. And I see impact in one person. If I can change one women's lives, then that's it. That's success. And I've changed many. But because I focus on the individual, and if I can have that one impact in one person, that's my definition of success. In the end, is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That makes a lot of people. But I focus very, very deeply on that one person that I have in front of me. So that was something that I defined, that impact for me was at the individual level. I also wanted, when I designed my dream job and my dream life, I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was contributing to a better world, because I have values that are linked to sustainability, to inclusion, to just being a kind person that spreads kindness in the world. And I realized that in my marketing corporate job, we didn't have the levels of sustainability and inclusion that I wanted to see. So in the last company that I was working for, we were talking about sustainability, and I was really pushing, and my team was really pushing for sustainability. But in the end, people didn't really care. The boomers that were in the team or the Gen X that were in the team, they didn't really get it. They didn't really care about sustainability. They were saying that they cared because it was the politically right thing to do, but they didn't really care. And then in terms of inclusion, the same. I was the only woman sitting in meetings full of white heterosexual men in their 40s or 50s. So that was not inclusion. We were all white. They were all men in their 40s or 50s, heterosexual, pretending to care about sustainability and inclusion. And I was the only woman there. So that wasn't fully sustainability or fully inclusion. That was just a mimic of sustainability and inclusion. And I wanted to be part of something that was actually linked to sustainability and inclusion, because these are values for me. And I think that if we want to survive and thrive as a species, we need to focus on sustainability and inclusion. It's important for our survival as human beings. Something that I also designed and I was also dreaming about when I designed my dream job was not only the freedom, to be able to be wherever I wanted and to travel and to have kind of that fancy, fun, lighthearted side of things. Something that was very important for me was to find peace, to have a regulated nervous system, which means to have a body that feels safe, a body that can relax. And when I was in that marketing corporate job, there was no way for me to have a regulated nervous system because we had deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline. So many projects going on at the same time. We were understaffed. We were a small marketing team for all of the projects that we had going on. And it was just non-stop madness. And I was in that job for 4 years. It was 4 years of non-stop madness. And there was a part of me that was meditating and was trying to do things to find peace, but it was impossible for me to actually find peace in that setting because just the amount of work was just crazy. So one of my goals and one of my definitions of success and one of my definitions of a dream job is a job where I can create, have fun, but with a regulated nervous system and with a sense of peace doing what I'm doing. Something else that was very important for me was creativity. So I am a very creative woman, and working in marketing, of course, is one of the most creative sides of a company. So that's great. But when you're in marketing, you always need to, for example, you're creating a new packaging. In my case, I was creating packaging for wine. So you're creating a new packaging. So you brief a design agency, the design agency comes back with options, and then you have to share those options with your boss, with the boss of your boss, with important stakeholders, for example, with the main countries that are going to be selling that wine. So there's a lot of stakeholders, and then you have a bunch of people who are giving their advice. Sometimes that advice is witty, intelligent. Sometimes that advice is just subjective. But you need to take that into consideration because there's a lot of politics behind that. So you are creating something that could be nice, but then you need to talk to all of these people. And in the end, original idea is lost. So I wanted to be even more creative. And I didn't want it to put barriers on my creativity just to please people from a political standpoint. I wanted to say what I wanted to say. I wanted to do and create what I wanted to create with no barriers, no political barriers. So I just wanted my creativity to flow freely. And that came with, of course, we now know, being a business owner, being the one that decides, being the one that pays, being the one that has the last word in everything. So that was important for me to be able to be fully myself and express fully what I want to say. And if now I want to say, for example, in this podcast, I'm just saying whatever I want to say. I don't need to be checking with someone if they agree with the strategy or not. And I don't need for permission to say what I want to say. And that was something that I was deeply, deeply craving when I was in my marketing job. And then the last thing for me was, and this is very interesting because when I designed all of this and when I was dreaming about my dream job, money was never a motivation. Literally, when I go back in time, money was never a motivation because I had a great salary. as a marketing director. And I really didn't think that much about money. Money wasn't a motivation. I just wanted to change people's lives. I wanted to be free, time and location freedom. I wanted to make sure that I was contributing to a better world. I wanted to feel peace on a daily basis. I wanted to explore my creativity. So that was my motivation. Money was never the motivation. I think some people, when they want to create their own businesses, they are thinking about money. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't think about money at all, but I think in the process of creating my own business, I realized money is going to be important in order to do this. I need money in order to have an amazing life. And we all know that I love having a luxurious life, going to nice places, traveling, living in beautiful places. So I like the good life, and that will only continue to increase. But money was never the motivation for me. Money became, and I quickly realized money is going to be important in this equation. I need to be able to build something when I get this dream job. I need to be able to build something that will make a lot of money because I want this to be sustainable. And in the process of creating my own business, I realized I could actually make a lot more money having my own business rather than working from someone. And money wasn't the motivation, but I quickly realized this is going to be important for me to sustain all the other things, for me to be able to continue to serve other people, for me to be able to continue to have a life of freedom, peace, creativity. Money is kind of like the basis that will sustain all the other things, the structure in which all the other things are sustainable. So money did become important once I realized what I wanted to do and what that actually entailed. But I also realized I can actually make a lot more money with my own business than with a corporate job. So that was my definition of my dream job. I wanted freedom, I wanted impact, I wanted peace, creativity, but I didn't really know which shape that would take. So I knew I wanted these things that were kind of the motivation for me, the intrinsic motivation for me, but I didn't really know which shape that would take. So I tried a bunch of things. I tried family constellations. I tried coaching. I tried even ayahuasca. I tried many, many, many different things in order to find information about my purpose, what I could do, how I could define all of this. And literally, I wish that at that time when I was this lost, I would have found someone that could offer what I offer now, that could have guided me in that process of being lost, of asking very deep questions. Because finding your purpose is one of the deepest questions a human being can ask themselves. It's a philosophical, spiritual, it's a very important quest to define or redefine our identities. So I literally wish at that point I would have found someone who's doing exactly what I do now, who could have said, look, we can do this in 4 months. Here's the structure. These are the exercises that you're going to do. I got you. I understand you and I got you. And this is what we're going to do together. This is exactly what I needed at that point. I didn't find it. I didn't know anyone that was a life coach that could help me with this issue that I had. And I would have paid anything to just figure out. I even went and did ayahuasca, you guys. Like, I really wanted to find out what I was made for. What did I came here on this earth to do? What's my role on all of this? How can I serve? How can I help? These were all the questions that I had inside. And I was just thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling, and I just couldn't find the answer. Until I went on a coaching call, and this coach, we went into the session and I said, I'm so lost. I have so many ideas. I don't know what to do. And the coach told me, okay, amazing. Tell me all your ideas. And I started speaking and I spoke and I spoke. And then after 40 minutes, she told me, do you realize that you've only spoken about one idea, which is coaching women for 40 minutes? And I was like, wow, then I guess I'm fucked, because that means I only have one idea. I'm not as lost as I like to tell myself that I am. I actually know intuitively what I want to do. But as long as I'm in this I'm lost phase, I don't need to face my fears. I can stay very comfortable in my corporate job and I don't need to change. So that was a hard pillow to swallow. But that coaching session finished, and I was like, okay, if this is what I want to do, then I guess we'd better find a school to train myself as a coach. And that's what I did. And basically, how I manifested my dream job was by creating my dream job. I set up my own company and I created a job that gave me freedom, impact, peace, creativity, and money to sustain all of that. So I quit my corporate job as a marketing director in September 2024. I started on the 3rd of October 2023. Oh my God, which year are we? 2023. It just flies so fast. So I decided to create my own job. I decided to create my own company, which is something I never thought I could do because I didn't define myself as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. I defined myself as the executive girl, the marketing girl, the marketing director, but it was always within this structure. I always thought that I needed that structure behind me. In the end, it turns out I don't. It turns out I thrive when there is no structure behind me, setting limits on me. So I created my own job. Now, this doesn't mean that every time that you find your purpose, you will end up creating your own job. Maybe you find your purpose and your purpose is to work within a certain structure because that structure, that company is amazing for you. Maybe it's just about defining your purpose and finding a new company to work for. In my case, the way I manifested my dream job was by creating my dream job, creating my company. So that's what happened in October 2023. I created my own company, Blisstopia, and here we are, thriving. I work from home. I met a French guy in Madrid. We decided to move to Paris. I work from home now from Paris. I design my own agenda. I design on which days I see clients, which days I don't see clients, which times of the day, according to my energy, to give the best service to my clients, I get to see clients. I can work from wherever I want, from Argentina, from wherever I want. I'm impacting hundreds and hundreds of women. I am contributing to a better world because sustainability and inclusion are part of Blisstopia. I am inviting people who are related to sustainability and inclusion on the podcast, and these are values for this company. I have a regulated nervous system. It's not always perfect. Sometimes, of course, I do get nervous. I do get stressed and I need to meditate. I need to do my EFT tapping. Right before I wanted to record this podcast episode, I was like, okay, let's meditate. I meditated for 10 minutes. It's not always perfect, but I'm a lot more regulated than I was before. I can let my creativity flow, and money is absolutely there, and it's way better than the money that I was making before as a marketing director, which was already very good. So here it is, So what I want to share on this podcast episode is that you get to design what your dream job will look like, how your dream job will make you feel, and then you can actually make it happen. Whether that means finding a new role within your company, whether that means finding a new company, or whether that means creating your own company. That can take different shapes and forms for you, but it is so important to ask that deep question. What does my dream job look like? How is my dream job going to make me feel? And then go and find it. And if you don't find it, go and create it, whatever you need. And if you want support to get clear on what your dream job is, how you want to define it, how it's going to make you feel, and most importantly, how you can make it happen for you, I'm here to support you. I have a 4-month program called Path to Purpose, in which you are going to get clear about your purpose. On the first month, you're going to understand who you are. The second month, you're going to dream what's possible for you. What's your dream job? Exactly what we talked about today. On the third month, you're going to design. What does this look like on a very concrete terms? Do I need to find a new job? Do I need to create my own job? And then month number 4, you're going to do. You're going to make this happen. So I've already helped and coached hundreds and hundreds of women, and I am so happy to be able to work with more amazing women just like you. So if you have this quest in your mind, you feel like something's off, you feel like your current job is not it, I'm here to support you. You don't need to do this alone the way I had to do it alone because I didn't find anyone who could support me with this, but I can support you knowing what I know now after years, 2 years of being lost, trying so many things. And then I finally was able to find my purpose. And now I'm super happy. And I want to share that with you. I want to share the tools and techniques that helped me find my purpose so that you can find your purpose as well and you can live aligned, blissful, and abundant. So if you want to do that, check the show notes. You can book a free discovery call with me. We're going to catch up for 45 minutes, find out if we are a good match. And if we are, we can discuss on jumping on a coaching process together for 4 months. And I would love to support you with that. So I will see you on the next episode. And in the meantime, in Blisstopia we trust.